was really a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you, Laura. I'm going to be reading 3 selections tonight from 3 different sources. First, I'll be reading from a new short story I just started a few weeks ago, or now I'm calling it What Goes Around Comes Around. The second is from Problems of Translation, my novel which was published last year, and the third is from The Condor's Shadow, a novel which I completed recently but is not yet published. Because in about 3 weeks it's Valentine's Day, I've selected passages featuring moments of relationships, good, bad, or downright scary. I think it's interesting that Laura's choice of what to read and the choices that I'm making all have something to do with love and its manifestations and its problems. First, from my short story In Progress, What Goes Around Comes Around. My troubles began the day that Fidel Castro died. I know this because I was determined to read the entire coverage given over to the preternaturally famous Cuban revolutionary strongman in the New York Times. Not because I was Cuban. I was something of a polyglot in my heritage. I'd been told I have Dutch, Irish, Russian, Swabian, Hungarian, Cherokee, maybe even Inuit blood running through my veins, but I've always imagined there might be a drop of Cuban in there somewhere. So I had finished the first page of the Times account of Fidel's life, laid out under the 36-point headline he no doubt deserved, when I sought the continuation on a later page where the obituaries commonly were. And there I discovered, in a smaller font but still alarmingly visible, the announcement of the death of my once and never-to-be future lover, Dulcimer Cornelia. That she had become a sufficiently notorious figure to be included in the pages of the Times was a surprise, but not now germane to my story. The print began to blur. Was this tears or just some kind of ocular anomaly? Dulcie had been prey to all manner of eye problems, as she referred to them, so maybe her ghost had bequeathed those problems to me. A hole opened in my belly and a chill wind blew through. I was reading the paper in the New York Public Library's cavernous reading room, and I immediately looked around to see if someone had opened a window, but I recovered and began to read further. She had died of a heart attack, which would have been at the bottom of my list of expectations for her exit from the tortured life she'd led. During the time we'd been together, she'd suffered from migraines, hence the suspect eyes, stomach problems, sinus infections, and type 2 diabetes, just to name the most egregious. Her brain waves had been analyzed, as had her sinus rhythms. During the 3 years we were together, the only medical problem I'd had was a busted hand from slamming it into a wall when she'd made me furious with her insufferable jealousy. You are already wondering, no doubt, why we had stayed together as long as we did. Well, start with the fact that she was the most beautiful, the sexiest woman I'd ever met. First to last, we couldn't get enough of each other. It was an exciting, near-satanic dance marathon, which ended only when we were both too exhausted to continue. The 90s might not have been as tempestuous as I'm told the 60s were, but we seem to be throwbacks to that period. She entered the coffee house without expression, struggling with a double-wide baby carriage, backed in carefully, knocked over the chalkboard listing that day's specials, caught it quickly with one hand, not letting go of the carriage handle with the other, straightened the sign, leaning it against the wall at a different angle, jerked the carriage around to complete her entrance, maneuvered with considerable difficulty past the backs of chair legs out too far. Finally finding a vacant spot at the massive 12-foot table in the center of the front room before parking her vehicle and going to order her beverage. All this with a blank face. But when she settled in with her coffee, a weary, troubled look came upon her. An almost gutter despondency descended, such as one might expect from a Skid Row derelict wondering where he would spend the night. She combed her fingers through her long, dirty blonde hair several times before finally managing to address her coffee. From the carriage, not a squall so far. Was there actually a baby aboard? Not to mention two? Thank you.